Good evening, everybody. Brian Newbert here from GoldandBlack.com, live in Coleman Coliseum here at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, following number 2 Purdue's 87-80 win at number 8 or 9. You guys tell me. Just pick one. Top 10 Alabama, let's put it that way. This is your GoldandBlack.com rap video. Thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support. As always, spent the whole day driving around Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Couldn't find a Purdue Club Hotel. I looked in that Buc-ee's last night. Couldn't find a Purdue Club Hotel. Not sure what's going on here, but there's got to be one somewhere in Alabama. It makes too much sense. So Purdue scores a really consequential early season statement, perhaps, sort of win here in Tuscaloosa in Game 3. There is no way in the world that this ends up not being a quad 1 win. First of all, this is that road win, that really high-end road win that brings a resume together, an NCAA tournament resume. You know, if you're missing this win, that's one thing that people can poke at you about when they're splitting hairs between Purdue, Houston, Duke, whoever it might be for that number 1 overall seed. That's a long way down the line. A long way down the line. So I'm not getting ahead of everything here, but that was kind of the long-term stakes of this win. I think the short-term reveal here was pretty significant about this Purdue team. You know, this is one of the best offensive teams in college basketball. That much can be agreed upon, hopefully, among reasonable people. But what I think, if you were jumping off a cliff over the Oakland game only being a 10-point win, in which Purdue was matched in the rebounding column, I think there were some things you wanted to see from Purdue that came to bear. Is that right? Came to bear. I don't know. Maybe I've got Paul Bryant on my mind here. That's why I'm saying bear. Anyway, came to light. Let's just put it that way. Came to light. Revealed themselves. Purdue was really tough. And, you know, for an offensive program, for a team that, you know, probably doesn't look in the airport like a team that's just going to overpower people, you know, the way maybe it did a lot more a couple years ago when you had Ross-Ade, you had Trey Kaufman-Renn, you had Mason Gillis, all of whom looked like they should be checking IDs outside of a really, really dangerous roadside establishment, shall we say. Purdue showed real toughness in this game, like more than I think a lot of people might have thought it was possible. We talked all offseason long about how Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobs said we're going to bring Purdue's center position up to code, turn it from deficiency into strength, make Purdue a more physical team, go a long way towards solving the rebounding issue that was its albatross, and we are besmirching, once again, the name of the poor albatross for the sake of talking about basketball. But it was Purdue's soft underbelly, so to speak, its vulnerability. It was the lead balloon tied to Purdue's collective ankle. Is that right? Anyway, so there were a lot of indicators here that said Purdue was going to be a tougher, more physical team, but you had to see it, and you had to see it in all its forms. Physical toughness, mental toughness that should come with experience. I don't think that was anything that was up for referendum when you have Braden Smith as your point guard and you have the best, you know, senior class in college basketball probably. But I think the toughness that Purdue showed in this game, absolutely obliterating Alabama in the rebounding column, which was kind of an open wound here through 2 bye games, which didn't matter. And you were playing without Trey Kaufman-Renn. Purdue out-rebounded Alabama 52-28. There wasn't a whole lot of second chance. Well, yeah, Alabama only gets 7 second chance points. Purdue arguably won this game on the glass. It was the offensive rebounds early that got Purdue off to a great start. Oscar Clough was really good in the paint, running ball screen stuff with Braden Smith and following people's misses. Trey Kaufman-Renn, in his first game of the season, played harder than I've ever seen him play, and he is not a low-effort guy ever. He has a very, very consistent motor. He's a very physical player, always. But I thought he played inordinately hard in this game. And really set a tone for this entire basketball game. And that was, as good as Braden Smith was, as much as he put Purdue on his back late in this game, in the final 10 minutes, whatever that time frame was, I thought Trey Kaufman-Renn really was the tone setter for this game. His physical nature, his effort on the glass, things like that really took Purdue to a whole other level. And that was kind of the griminess. Matt Painter uses that very graphic term. Sounds like something from like an all-purpose cleaner commercial you'd see on the Oxygen Network in the middle of the day. Grimy. But that's the term he always uses. Getting loose balls, rebounding, blocking people out, just being physical. And I thought Purdue was really grimy. I hate saying that. It's so stupid. But anyway, that's his word, not mine. But Purdue showed real toughness, and it's that kind of intangible that can take this team a long, long way. Purdue's already viewed a certain way as one of the best teams in college basketball, if not the best team in college basketball. And I think seeing that intangible come out in a game like this was a really, really positive thing for this team. For them to rebound the way they rebounded after that was something people were questioning. People who perhaps don't deserve their platforms, but people nonetheless were questioning Purdue's rebounding, looking past the fact that Purdue did not have an All-American in its first two games. And the All-American comes back, that's what happens. It wasn't rocket science. But I think that, Purdue is not the most athletic team in college basketball. I think people looked at Purdue a little bit and looked at their bodies and, their, in some cases, verticality and their physicality and said, really, is that the number one team in the country? People are jumping over Oscar Clough. People are pushing Daniel Jacobson off his spots. Purdue's getting out-rebounded. They're beating the loose balls, things like that. Purdue's playing a guard at the 4 in those first two games. And I think, Purdue swung back in a big way here today to anyone who thought, hey, Purdue's not athletic enough to, be the best team in college basketball. I'm not saying this is going to play out this way every single game, but I think when Trey Kaufman-Renn plays like this, this is the template. And I think Trey Kaufman-Renn is going to be one of the best players in college basketball this season. I'm on record saying that I think Purdue has 2 National Player of the Year candidates, and I don't know which one's 1A and which one's 1B. It's probably a little bit of an overstatement, but what the hell? That's what I'm here for. It's take culture in sports nowadays, so that's my take. But no, I think, Trey Kaufman-Renn's toughness really was the biggest factor in this game. I think Braden Smith's will was the second biggest factor in this game, if not right there 1A, 1B again with Kaufman-Renn's toughness. Braden Smith just kind of got that look in his eye there, and just kind of took the game by the you-know-what and really hunted that mismatch on what is this person's name? Taylor Bowen. I have something to tell you. I normally have the game on TV on my computer while I'm watching it live, so I can go back and watch everything a second time, so I have a better feel for exactly what happened. Because of our corporate overlords at Disney and Google, I did not have that luxury here tonight, so I'm flying a little bit blind on some of these guys' names and some of what happened precisely when it happened and things like that. So you have to bear with me here. If I get something wrong, I'm trying my best here. Anyway, Braden Smith's will, hunting that matchup on Taylor Bowen, at the end was really consequential. Him, having the fortitude to take and make those big threes really loomed large in deciding this game. And I thought, you saw Purdue has two of the best players in college basketball, and both of them today gave you everything you would have wanted to see from them to validate that standing in their sport. Kaufman-Renn and Braden Smith were awesome tonight. That was the reason, Purdue won this game and has a really, really big-time resume win and a game that's going to propel them forward. Purdue is not a finished product. Alabama is not a finished product. I think Alabama is going to get a lot better after this. I think Purdue is going to get better after this. I think the SEC has been really good for Purdue. Really good for Purdue from a program perspective. I think those games against Tennessee, I think these games against Alabama, Purdue should play one of them on Thursday and one of them Saturday every week for the rest of the year, if not into eternity, because these games have been unbelievable. And that Purdue's gotten the better of almost every one of them has been really telling about where Purdue is from a program perspective. But Purdue's going to get better, I think, as Kaufman-Renn keeps easing into things. I think you saw at the end of the game exactly what we've been or throughout the game, a lot of the stuff we were talking about that's going to make Kaufman-Renn better this year. He's going to have opportunities for putbacks because Oscar Clough is building this radius around him with his physicality, but also Kaufman-Renn plays really hard. But also, I think, Kaufman-Renn's assists as that kind of go-between between Braden Smith and the five-man and ball screen offense. Purdue, benefited greatly from that at the end of this game. It really helped them put it away. And that speaks volumes about Kaufman-Renn's development as an offensive player. That is not an easy read to make for a guy who's not like a natural passer or facilitator. Has had to kind of grow into that. For him to make those spur-of-the-moment decisions and get those assists there at the very end of the game, those were big-time plays. And, that's something that I saw all summer out there at practice. They really put a lot of time into that dump-off pass out of the short roll to the five-man, whether it be Daniel Jacobson or Oscar Clough, and really seemed like it was going to be a really big part of Purdue's offense. And it came up big at the right time at the very end of this game, and Purdue's got a lot going for it here. Purdue's got a great offensive basketball team that got some of its best productivity out of its worst possessions. When things went sideways a bunch of times, there was a Braden Smith three after Fletcher Lawyer kind of zigzagged around and didn't seem to have a lot of direction to that possession. There was a Jakari Harris three that came off of Daniel Jacobson kind of getting stuck with the ball outside the lane. And there was an Omer Meyer three. I can't remember what happened. It might have been off a deflection or something like that. And Omer Meyer, the minutes you got from him, the confidence he showed and just kind of going out there and cooking off the bench when Braden Smith was out of the game, that was huge. I mean, that was a huge part of this basketball game. Last year, Braden Smith comes out of the game, everything goes to hell, probably. But you now have a guy who can come in and be a reasonable facsimile of Braden Smith. They are largely the same player. I think they have different personalities from what I've observed, but the skill sets are identical. The dimensions are different, but the skill sets are very similar. And I thought Omer Meyer is probably not going to be the headline from this game, but for him to come in, minimize his mistakes, get Purdue some buckets there while Braden Smith was out, just big time. I mean, that kid's going to be a great player. It might not be this season, but he's capable of this. He's capable of kind of coming in for 2 minutes or 3-4 minutes and doing that. And depth. That's depth. So, look, that's what I got. Just a big-time win for Purdue here. Obviously, it is very early, so overreaction season is far from over. So Feel free to declare Purdue your national champion now. Feel free to exclude Alabama from the postseason altogether if you're on that side of the take aisle, and just kind of see where both teams go from here. But in the moment, a great win for Purdue that will endure. This is never not going to be a great win from a resume perspective. So, and this is also a great reflection of, hey, Kentucky helped this team. Going to Kentucky really helped this team. Just like Arkansas really helped the Final Four team. Don't forget about that. So there is a method to the madness around Purdue basketball. So that's what I got. I'll talk to you guys again periodically from the road in my stupid new GoldandBlack.com postcard tomfoolery. Thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support. As always, we appreciate it. And from Coleman Coliseum and number 2 Purdue's 87-80 win over number 8 or 9 Alabama, I can't remember, just make it up. This is Brian Newbert from GoldandBlack.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for processing our materials, no matter how much those materials smell like brisket. And I will talk to you guys again in like 36 hours after Purdue plays Akron. So thanks, everybody.